Cool, thanks for coming back. Clearly you enjoyed the first episode so much that you came back for the second. I really appreciate that. Hopefully you haven't got any questions, and if you have, you shouldn't have, because this thing's so simple. So I just wanted to recap that we got the energy model at the top here, and then we've developed that into the risk barrier model, which is the model at the bottom. What I wanted to do now was just to show you a worked example, because some of you people often want to know, give me some context, show me what this really means. So I'll work through an example now. So we've got the blank sheet here. Now I'm working with a client, and they've got lots of machinery in their workshop. And I said, well, what are you worried about? And they said, well, actually, I'm worried about somebody getting their arm amputated. So I think, where does amputation belong on here? Well, amputation is harm, so we put harm in the amputation box. Now, what causes amputation? It's machinery. So machinery is the hazard. So we've got machinery could lead to amputation, but we've got to be doing something with the machinery. So what are we doing with the machinery? We're operating it. So when we're operating machinery, we could lead to amputation, but the amputation doesn't happen directly because you're operating the machinery. Remember, there's an outcome. There's what happens just before amputation? Well, in this case, it's entanglement. So we've now got the machinery is the hazard. Somebody's operating the machinery, which could lead to somebody getting entangled in it, which could cause an amputation. We've now got the two ends. We've now got point A and point B. What happens now is we've got risk. While we're operating machinery, there's a risk that machinery could cause us to get entangled and lead to amputation. Now we've got that, we can start talking about what controls we could put in place. So when we're operating machinery, what can we put in place to stop us getting entangled? We could put some guarding on the machinery. If there's guarding on the machinery, there is less risk of us getting entangled. What else could we do? We could make sure the operator is competent. If we've got a competent operator and there's guarding on the machine, the risk is reduced further. What else could we do? We could put an emergency stop on. Emergency stop is incredibly useful control, because somebody might get entangled, but by hitting the emergency stop, it might reduce the severity of the amputation. So those controls work incredibly well in that context. Now, what's good about this model is we can start at any point. Traditionally, people say go and find some hazards, when actually sometimes it's better to say, well, what am I worried about happening? Yeah, start at the outcome side is perfectly fine. Let's work through another example. I'm worried about getting sunburned. Where does sunburn belong on this model? Does sunburn hurt? Yes, it's harm. So we write sunburn in that box. Again, following the path of least resistance, what causes sunburn? It's the sun. So the hazard is the sun. What's the activity that we're doing? It's working outside. So when we're working outside, the sun's the hazard. That could lead to us getting sunburned. What's the outcome? I guess it'd be too much sun exposure. So when we're working outside in the sun, we want to reduce the amount of sun exposure, and that could lead to us getting sunburned. We've now got point A and point B. What we now need to do is put some controls in place. So when you're working outside and you don't want to get sunburned, what do? Well, the first control, wear sunscreen. Second control, wear a hat. Third control, work in the shade. Fourth control, wear long sleeves. If you put those controls in place, the risk of you getting sunburnt is far, far less. Applying this model is really, really cool, and it works beautifully, but you've got to make sure that you put things in the right boxes. You've got to make sure that the hazard's the hazard, the activity is the activity, the outcome's the outcome, the harm's the harm, and the controls are actually controls. Go and play around with the model a little bit. Put some examples in. Once you've done that, come back and we'll talk about the cool stuff that we can do with this model moving forwards.